They got their first win of the year. So,
good
job, John Gruden.
They beat the Browns.
Hey, the Browns are a good football team, but the Raiders won 45-42, overtime thriller. The Raiders had the ball with just over 2 minutes left in the red zone. Derek Carr but had a miscommunication with an open Amari Cooper in the end zone on 4th down. The Raiders then lost the ball. The Browns then got it back. The Raiders forced a 3-and-out and then scored a touchdown and a 2-point conversion to force overtime, and then got the job done with a field goal in OT. So the Raiders are 1-3. They will play the Chargers this Sunday. What are my takeaways from the game? I think Derek Carr is finally not back, but he's getting much closer to his 2016
form. He looked real good.
And, if you're a Raiders fan, as soon as they traded away Khalil Mack, the entire success of the organization fell on Derek Carr's shoulders. And he's done a pretty good job. He threw for 437 yards and 4 touchdowns. He had some of that magic that he had in 2016. They scored a 2-point conversion with, 20 seconds left in the game to tie and force overtime, and they won. And they had 31 second-half points, including overtime. That's just
Marshawn
dominant football.
Looked real good in that game. He looked like old beast mode again.
Well, yeah, Marshawn looked really good. He was running hard, had 130 yards. They also, questionably took away a touchdown from him. He broke free, but the refs called the whistle and ended the play. Marshawn probably would have gone 50 yards down the field.
Oh, yeah, that was terrible.
So Marshawn could have had a touchdown and a lot more yards. And when Gruden came in, he said, we want the full-time Marshawn Lynch, not that part-time bullshit. And he's getting full-time Marshawn Lynch. This is the Hall of Fame Marshawn Lynch. This is the Seattle Seahawks Marshawn Lynch that the Raiders have. So I think offensively, you have to be really excited if you're the Raiders. Carr needs to cut down on the turnovers a little bit. Still had 2. I think I think they're going to go down. I think the issue that he's having is Gruden's throwing so much at him right now, that he's thinking about so much, that he's just making a few mistakes each game, and I think those are going to become less and less once he becomes more comfortable with the new offense and all that Gruden's asking of him. Cooper was back in a major way, 128 yards and a touchdown. Jared Cook, I didn't know Jared Cook was this good.
He looked great out there. I didn't even know y'all had a good tight end, honestly.
Yeah, after the Rams game, he had a huge day, 180 yards. Last week, 110 yards and 2 touchdowns. I thought he had a lot of potential because he's a big guy, has pretty good hands, and is athletic. So he is a mismatched nightmare, and John Gruden's done a fabulous job of, getting him the football. I think those are the two, him and Marshawn Lynch are the 2 things that Gruden has done really well. So I think offensively, putting up 45 points against that Browns defense is no joke. They held Drew
Browns
Brees.
Defense is they're not a joke, honestly.
They held Roethlisberger to 21. They held Brees to 21. And Derek Carr dropped 45 on them. So the Raiders' offense looks like it could be good to go. Defense, that's a different story. They still gave up 42 to a rookie quarterback in his first career start on the road. I do think Baker Mayfield's really good, but 42 points is unacceptable. They couldn't
also
stop
Nick
the run.
Chubb. Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
Old Georgia boys. Old dogs, baby. He had 3 carries.
2 for touchdowns.
2 for touchdowns, 105 yards. I mean, it was... That was something else to watch, honestly.
Yeah, and then, Hyde still played well, 82 yards and a touchdown. The Raiders need to do a better job of stopping the run. In the passing game, they do okay. They're not going to be great just because they don't have any sort of pass rush. It's horrible. They got a few sacks against Mayfield, but the good news on the defensive side of the ball is they finally were able to force turnovers. I think they recovered 2 fumbles, and then they forced 2 interceptions. So, turnovers make up for a lot. When the Falcons were successful, they were turning the football over, but they were still giving up a lot of yards. When the Raiders were good in 2016, they were giving up a lot of yards, but Khalil Mack and company, unfortunately Mack's not there anymore, would always have timely turnovers and sacks. So, you don't have to be a great defense. You just have to be a timely defense. If you're the Raiders, I think the defense, it's too much to overcome this year. That's why I think they're going to be, a 7 or 8 win football team. But the offense is really good. So if the defense can force timely turnovers, then maybe they can make a playoff push. If they don't, which I think that's what's going to happen, the pass rush is just bad. The one good news is Maurice Hurst is a beast. I think he had a 90 PFF player grade last week. That dude was drafted in the 5th round, #1 rated player in all of the draft by Pro Football Focus, and he's lived up to that so far, so that's nice. I didn't really want to talk about this, but just quickly with Khalil Mack, it's a little disappointing because I think the Raiders finally had those other pieces on defense that would be really nice in combination with Mack, with Bruce Irvin, Arden Key, Maurice Hurst, P.J. Hall. But now that Mack is gone, you don't get to see him take advantage of having that great cast, which is a little bit disappointing. But overall, if the offense plays like that and Derek Carr plays like the way he did and Marshawn runs the ball and Cooper is able to be found, quick note, Jordy Nelson, not a ton of yards, 49, but he had the 2-point conversion with about 15, 20 seconds left and had a touchdown. So he's starting to play really good football too. Yeah. So this Raiders offense looks like it could be clicking. If it stays that way, they're going to win football games. And I think they'll have a good chance of beating the semi-struggling Chargers on Sunday, who barely beat the Niners with C.J. Beathard. Do you have anything to add on the Raiders front?
Not really. I would just say I wouldn't really be too discouraged about that 42-45 scoreline because Cleveland has proved that they're a really talented team this year. Myles Garrett was everywhere on that field. I mean, watching a defensive end get 9 tackles, 7 solo tackles, just watching him play, it was impressive. And they have a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball. Baker, he threw for nearly 300 yards. So, I mean, I think the Raiders, I don't know if y'all are going to be able to make that playoff push this year because you've got the Chiefs and the Broncos in your division, and Patrick Mahomes looks like second coming of Brett Favre right now.
I mean, do we want to get into Pat Mahomes right now? Maybe a little bit, because
I mean, I'm down to talk about Pat Mahomes. That dude's
he might be the most excitable player to watch in the league. I mean,
he's like Aaron Rodgers, but
more athletic. Well, not maybe more athletic.
They were similar athleticism.
I think it's an Aaron Rodgers that takes way more risks.
Yeah,
they're pretty similar. I think they're both incredible arms and incredibly athletic, but I mean, this dude will roll out left and then throw the opposite way, 40 yards down the field, and
he threw with his left hand to Tyreek Hill on that play versus the Broncos to get a first down. As Von Miller was closing in on him. I think Patrick Mahomes is he's something else, man. He has 14 touchdowns already.
Drafted him in my Dynasty League and Fantasy. That's going to pay off. It's also like he got the win on the road in Denver. They were down. He'd have a fourth quarter comeback on national television. I mean, the guy is he's done everything that he's asked. And he didn't even have that great of a game. That was a game where he sort of struggled compared to his other games where he was just throwing for 5 touchdowns a game. This game was against a good defense on the road, prime time, and hit adversity, but then powered through it, came back and won, led his team down the field.
And Case Keenum had a chance to take that game back. He had Demaryius Thomas wide open down the field, down the right sideline, and he just overthrew him. I don't know if it was miscommunication or it was just a little bit overthrown.
I think that was partially on DT's fault too. If you look at it,
he could have ran
quite run 100%, but I'm not sure if that was on purpose because it's a little bit tricky when it's cover 2 because you have to stay in that spot. If you go too far down the field, then the safety is going to be there. So I don't know if he was trying to stay in that open zone and Keenum overthrew him, or Keenum thought he was going to run right through full speed. And that's why Keenum overthrew him. But definitely big miss either way.
Yeah, because you could see the safety was coming over the top, and he was probably looking out for that guy. But, I mean, still, that ball was right there. He had a clear line to the end zone. So